Welcome to the Burnt Pancakes Podcast. I'm your host, Katie, and today I'm sitting down with two of my dear friends, Lisa and Jennifer. And between the three of us, we have 8 children and over 40 years combined teaching in the classroom. We all met when we taught elementary school together before any of us had children. But now with our own kids in school, we have a few opinions about the teachers we were back then and what it's like being on the parent side of school. So welcome to the podcast, ladies.
Hi, everybody.
I should say, welcome, Mrs. Shea and Mrs. Fisher. So I have my good friends, Lisa and Jennifer on, and these girls saved me in my first year of motherhood because we were teaching in the same school. Jennifer was my partner teacher, making all my copies for me. Lisa, I would call on the way to school, like, help me, my baby didn't sleep. She had a little guy right before me. So welcome, girls. If you could just share with me what grades your kids are in now and what grade you taught in the classroom. Let's see. We'll start with Lisa. You go first.
Okay, cheers to boy moms. I have 2 boys. I have 3 sisters, but now I've got 2 boys. So It was a totally different world for me now than it was then. My son is in 3rd grade, my older son, and my younger son is in 1st grade. And then when I taught, the grades I really stuck to 2nd grade. I taught that for I think 9 years or so. I also taught 3rd grade as well.
And Jennifer, my former partner, what grades are your kids at Slash? When I met you, both your 2 oldest now were in diapers. So
yes.
What grades are they in now?
I know. When I met you, my oldest was 2 and now he is 14.
Yikes.
So I have 3 boys. I know. So I have 3 boys. I had a sister growing up, and so the boys have really transformed my life to the person I thought I was going to be, to the person I am. So the oldest is 14. I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Awesome.
Crazy.
And we taught together. When we taught, we were 4th grade teachers.
Yes, 4th grade. And I did a little stint in 2nd grade, but I think 4th grade is my favorite still. And even having my kids go all the way through all their grades, and my youngest is in 4th grade right now, I still think 4th grade is the best year.
No, guys, 2nd grade is where it's at. 2nd grade is where it's at.
4th was that was my sweet spot. So my oldest is in 3rd grade now. He's going to be in 4th grade next year.
Okay. It's so weird. When your kid, when my own child got to the grade I taught,
right,
it freaked me out. I was like,
it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
It blows. Yeah. So next year for both of you is going to be wild.
That's going to be wild. That's weird. Okay. So we were totally different back when we were teaching then. Lisa and
I'm trying not to laugh about this.
We were planning our weddings. And now that I have my own kid in school, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could go back to that teacher and kind of shake myself a little bit.
100%.
So I'll start with one thing that I would have done differently. Homework and reading logs. What's your thought on that now? What's your thought?
I can't believe that I emailed multiple parents before I had children asking them where their reading log was. I don't want to say, it's just so funny to me. You had those kids where the mom would just clearly sign all the way down the last day. And I'd be like, and I'm questioning them. Oh, did you actually read this in a time? Now it's between baseball practice, everything that my kiddos, school, everything, the single thing that they have to do each week. I'm just sign the log. We're good.
The reading log. Okay, let's admit it. Be honest. Have you lied on your child's reading log?
Hands down, yes.
100%. Starting in kindergarten, I was she would send home one and you'd have to fill it out at the end of the month. Which I totally get it. Reading to your kids, super important. I get that. But at the end of the month, I was scrambling. Oh my God, what did we read? Grab some books, write it down. I 100% lied on those things.
I can't remember. It's been so long.
Wait, so they don't have reading logs. When was the last one you had to do? What grade?
Okay, this is hard because I want to say 1st or 2nd, but that was when my youngest was in 1st grade, end of 1st grade when COVID hit. So we did so much at home. By the time we got out back into the classroom, it was gone.
Oh, that's true.
So I think it blocked.
Or maybe you had teachers that were moms and got it.
Yes. Yeah. I 100% would never assign a reading log ever again.
No.
Okay, so Lisa, you mentioned baseball, and this made me think of, I can't remember which student it was. I just remember one year I had a ton of boys who played baseball, and their moms and the kids said, Mrs. Fensky, we have a big game tonight. Can you not give us homework? And in my head, I was like, excuse me, like school comes first, baseball is second. Now my kids play baseball, and I'm like, do not assign homework on baseball night.
I can't.
Like, don't do it.
No. I don't know why and it's funny too, because like as a teacher, like I would think, and it is true, like, oh, homework is a reinforcement of the skill, right? But at the same time, like, I don't know, it's just, it just makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh because I'm just like, one child, because I have two boys, right? They're on different teams. And it's like, there's so much going on. Jennifer, I'm sure you can attest to this. Like there's so much going on every single week where you have to be here, have to be there. And then they also have karate, and then they have their coding. Like there's so many things outside of school, that now I'm just like, I don't know. I used to be homework every single night. Yes. And then now once my boys got in school, I'm just like, oh, Jesus, please help me.
Please no homework.
Take the wheel. Like sit down and just do this for 15 minutes. We have to go.
I have a lot of thoughts on homework, especially having older kids that are in. Like last night we had cotillion from 7:30 to 9, and then my youngest had baseball practice 30 minutes away, so it's an hour drive time, and it's hour of practice. That's 2 hours, and that was from 7 to 8 at last night, and he's only 9. So just looking back at all the activities that my kids have, they have basketball every day after school. They don't get home till like 4:30. Then they have more homework, and they come home and they're just tired and they're exhausted, and they're just like, I just need a break. And then you give them a break, and then it's dinner time, and then it's just, I wouldn't assign hardly any. Like they've already been reinforced at home or at school. Do we need to do it again at home? That's my biggest thing. Like there's just so much more, I think, as my kids get older, and they all have different learning styles and learning needs, especially my middle one that has some challenges for school. Do they really need that? And they need that break, and there's more than just school.
Right.
That is involved.
You feel like being a boy mom too, it's like they've been sitting all day. They're losing their minds. They cannot be sitting anymore. It's like, get them up,
I don't know how many times I was just saying, I don't know how many times I've called and texted you when baseball season's over, whoever, be like, guys, I'm just getting out and about, like just getting out and about. We're going on a walk. We're doing this, especially my younger son. I know, Katie, your older son and my younger son are like,
they're the same. They're the same kid.
Like we've just gotta get out and about so that we can get the energy out. Like that's my constant, like every day, just get the energy out. Just get the energy
out. That makes me think of all those poor boys in my class when I was I was like early 30s, in my 20s, and I would make them sit and do work because like they had to get their work done. But now I'm like, my son can't sit for more than 10, 15 minutes. Like I should have had them up and moving and like, let's go outside. Let's like take a walk. Cause these antsy boys, like,
I think one of the other worst things I ever did was in second grade, I was assigning like typing homework. I'm like, oh my gosh, what would I do if my kid's teacher assigned them typing homework on a baseball practice day or a golf lesson day or whatever? Like, I don't even have a computer with internet connection like right now. What do I do? What I would do is have my son do it at like 8:30 at night, 9 o'clock at night.
Yep.
We actually did have that assigned for my kids when they were younger. They did have typing program, and it was a certain amount of minutes. And I remember just crying. Like it was just so hard to get them through all that learning throughout the day. And I think the younger grades are the hardest, even though there's less practice, there's so much more to get accomplished at home with schoolwork that it was definitely overwhelming, especially with the more kids that you have and keeping track of who has what. And I have a big board that would have all their homework assignments on it.
That's my fear. Cause right now I have one in elementary school. Like my middle hasn't even started that yet. What do I do when like one has this homework and one needs my attention on this? Like I'm able to focus on one right now. Like we got to do your facts and then we got to do your iReady. But yeah, having multiple kids in school and keep track.
I guess with a third one, you kind of forget about a little bit. You just pray that they got it together.
But I heard they turn out the best, right?
Oh my gosh, he's the most self-sufficient. He's like, Mom, I got my lunch. I can do this.
That's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on it being my easy.
The other thing I was thinking about that I would totally do as a teacher, and I, as a teacher without kids, was like, oh my gosh, like the parents love this. It's so cute. Like doing like when I taught third grade, all of my students had to like dress up, like fully dress up as a famous American and like do a full presentation. And I would do like I would invite all the parents, and like the parents did think it was cute, and it did end up being like a lovely little celebration. It is fun. I'm not saying, of course, as a teacher not to do that, but I realize now, like on the back end, like on the mom side, like the amount of pressure, like, oh my gosh, like my son is Milton Hershey for Thursday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a straw hat. Like Amazon, like, oh my gosh, okay, does your suit still fit you? Like last night, my son's trying on his jacket at 9 o'clock at night because I forgot about it. And it's just like, I didn't at all even see that in my non-child brain. Yeah. Like, I just thought, oh my gosh, like the parents are going to love me. Like, this is so cute. I'm going the extra mile, you know, which is kind of true. But then also it's just funny to like, think about it now. Like I think the number one thing is the way in which when I was a teacher before children, after the time frames that I would give, like, oh, it's due tomorrow. Like I'm assigning it tonight. It's due tomorrow. Yes. And then, or, oh, we're doing this Milton Hershey thing. I'm giving you like a week to get it together. Like a week is not enough time.
Right. Or I remember asking for field trip volunteers like the week before the field trip. And the parents were like, I have to take a day off work. Could you tell us ahead of time? And I was like, it wasn't even on my brain.
You're like, it is ahead of time. Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, Jennifer, you can probably relate to this. Mission projects.
Oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of it right now.
So for anyone not in California, one of the social studies standards is learning the 21 California missions. And like the mission project is a big fourth grade thing. You actually have to do one right now?
We're in the middle of it. I have gone on Amazon. I have gone all over. But I will say before, I think we had expanded it to like other projects.
Right. We tried to do it mostly in class. I remember telling the parents that you don't have to do it at home. We're going to do it.
Yes, I would be grateful for that. But right now we were doing it at home. Everything's at home.
Excellent.
Is it like popsicle sticks? What are you using?
I'm trying to find balsa wood right now because my son has insisted on building his mission and they can't use a kit. We don't have to build a mission. There's so many things that he can do. But he has chosen in his heart to do this, and I can't tell him no because.
Did you also save it and hand it down to us next year?
Oh yeah, because I'm done. Yeah, exactly. I'm done with fourth grade. But I was smart just because I taught fourth grade that I knew I was going to have to visit a mission or get some information. So we went in August. So you're in California fourth grade, do it ahead of time. But they did give us 2.5 weeks, but it's taken me a week, and I still don't have all my supplies because I can't find them.
Okay, like, I like how you said, I don't have all of my supplies. Do you remember like the projects where like the parent clearly helped? And then the projects were like, God, no one helped you with this project. And now I'm like, no, I'm going to make my kid do his project. Like
my kid is so going to be the kid that has like the worst one, but they did it all by themselves.
It's not the one going in the office for sure.
It's, but a lot of it's just mentally trying to get everything ready. And we tried to do it this past weekend. And I was like, well, I have some supplies, like, let's put it together. And as we're trying to plan it out, I'm like, no, we don't have everything we need. Now let's go to the store, but supplies all over the place. Now I have to go to Amazon. So he will do it with me, and I'm going to teach him how to do a PowerPoint because now a written report has to go with it too. And I'm like,
oh my God. I'm not ready. No. I cannot do fourth grade, Lisa. I'm out.
It just makes me laugh to think like I judged. Like I really did. It's awful to say, but I totally was like, had this judgmental frame of mind when I see these projects, and I was like, okay, this parent didn't even remotely help their kid. Like, come on, you know? And now like, those are the ones like my son's Milton Hershey project fully did it himself. And I'm just like, great job, honey. Like you did it, you know? Of course I'm like overseeing, supervising, but I now realize like, it's his learning. It's his, like what he wants to do. And I have to just step away. And I praise those parents that I apologize to all those parents I judged hardcore. Because you did it right. You did it right.
Jennifer, we need a picture. When the project is done, we need a picture.
Oh, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to make him glue it. But it was more
like Jennifer and I were talking about recently, which I am not looking forward to, is the science fair, Katie.
Oh yeah, that was hard. And like my kids.
When does that start? Like,
well, my kids are middle school, so 6th, 7th, and 8th is when they did it. And so I think it's to Lisa's point, it's hard to balance how much you help them and how much independence you give them.
Because they need help on that.
Yes. So for the science fair, they actually did it almost all in class because they do everything on computers now. Even their math book is a computer. They don't have a physical math book, which makes it kind of hard sometimes to help them. But my kids are like, I'll just look it up on YouTube. So they get more proficient and like more independent. But when I was reviewing all their work, I'm like, well, you don't clearly know how to cite a reference. And they're like, what's that? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what references did you use? And so it's more of like taking their learning and adding to it that takes so much time. Because I'm like, I'm not going to do this for you. I need you to sit down here next to me. I'm going to teach you what you did wrong and how are we going to fix it together. So it was refining that. And I can see from last year when I did that to this year, oh my gosh, they grew so much, but they still need a lot of help. And that's what takes so much time. And, then we need to use a paper cutter. I'm not going to let my boys use a paper cutter because literally my boys are the clumsiest things you've ever met. They break dishes every time they do the dishes. Like, and it's getting over that here. So
yeah. I think the number one takeaway that I realized as a mom now that I didn't when I was a teacher, like I thought for some reason, I mean, it sounds so, for lack of a better word, dumb to say out loud. But when I was a teacher, I had all these lovely students and they sat, they listened, they did their work. And I'm thinking in my head, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Like parent, just your child goes home, you sit with them for the amount of time they act the same way they're going to act for me, like get with the program. But I now realize like, the parent-child relationship is much different than the teacher-child relationship, and that's totally okay, but it makes things harder at home when you're working with your kiddo because the relationship is different.
And I realized that especially during COVID and the whole like distance learning, I thought, okay, I've got teaching credential, I've got years of experience, I can help my first grader. He wanted nothing to do with me teaching him. Like
100%.
No, mom, like that's not how to do it. And I remember parents telling me in like conferences, can you just tell him like he has to do this at home? And I was like, what do you mean?
Just you tell him. Yeah.
Like, or he's okay, like breaking down and crying about math in front of me, but he's not going to do that with the teacher. It's just like a total different. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait till they get into teenage years and nothing.
Oh God.
Whole other story.
Like the trigonometry that I have to learn now.
Oh gosh. Well, luckily my husband has taken over that, but I can't even help him anymore. I'm like, I don't know. Ask your teacher.
I'm tapping out at grade 5,
We're in the math facts phase right now. And I'm like, oh, those time tests. My son has to do them now. And I'm like, time tests. Yeah. Yep. I remember those. Yep. What about behavior? Because I got a nice little email from my child's teacher 2 weeks ago about him calling out, being silly in class. And in my mind, I was like, if she's emailing me, it must mean it's pretty bad. Because like as a teacher, I could kind of deal with it in the classroom and like, okay, like work on it. But then when it got to the point where it was like, I'm done with this kid, I'm emailing the parents. So when I saw that, I was like, Ronan, what are you doing in class? And he's like, well, I don't know. Like I said an answer. And I'm like, was it the right answer or a funny answer? He's like, well, it was funny. And I'm like, don't be that. Like in my head, I had flashbacks of, I won't name these students' names, but I could picture these kids that I've had like poopy diaper jokes and booty. And I would talk to their parents and be like, excuse me, your child is making poopy diaper jokes in class. This is inappropriate. And now me as a mom, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have that boy and they're boys and poopy diapers are funny.
Like farts will always be funny no matter what. Like, I just don't understand. I don't get it.
My response was, oh my gosh, absolutely. I will talk to Ronan about it. Please keep me informed. Like, and we had a nice little chat at home.
Yeah. I was so mortified when like my younger son's teacher pulled him aside or pulled me aside, excuse me, and was like, so, your son, we've had a couple conversations about potty talk. And I'm just like,
yeah. It's so
like, I swear I don't allow that at home. I swear.
And Ronan, they are the same kid. They're identical.
Yeah. Which my older son, he does think it's funny and whatever, but he's a little bit more like my husband, introverted.
He's a firstborn.
My younger one is very much like, oh, like this and that, farts, whatever.
Let's make everyone laugh.
Oh, gosh, like, no, stop.
I will say, I remember students that were challenging class and just being like, why? Like just being so frustrated or talking to the parents a lot. And coming from my two oldest kids were never easy. Never easy. My oldest he was emotional, but he was a good kid. He was a rule follower. Still to this day he's not emotional anymore. He's completely like unemotional, but he's still a rule follower, won't hang out with kids that are gonna get him in trouble. Middle one, he's typical middle kid. Even in preschool, we had problems. And you coming from, even when you talk to almost every single day in preschool and kindergarten and first grade, after a while, as a parent, if a teacher came and said something to me, I'm like, that's it. And so it started to like wear off. So I do think like after a while, like just looking at different, like he has made me grow as a person and as a teacher, realizing like not every kid fits into a little box. And so I would do less conversations with parents because of it. And those parents already know, and they've tried, sometimes, not always, sometimes they've tried. And that's why I remember getting mad at parents who were like, what now? Because I end up being that parent, like, what now? Like, I've tried everything. I can't change that. And then come to my third one, who's like the square peg, like just fits into every single box. As a go-getter, like all three of my kids are so different that like one little infraction, I'll be like, okay, he's fine.
I wish as a teacher, I had sent more like positive.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to take that kid who's always struggling and find one thing they're doing right. I feel like I didn't do that enough, because I do feel like with my son's school, like they do communicate, but sometimes I'm like, what's going on? Like, I don't help in the classroom that often. So I just wish I could see more of the
I think that would have helped me with my middle son, of someone telling me like he did something great. And actually I ran into, we were just at the science fair with my two older kids, and one of the teachers, he's actually a PE teacher now, came up to me and told me like how much he's changed for the positive from the beginning of the year till now. And I was like, you have no idea what that meant to me just for him to say that. So what you said with that more positive comments is so true, because we tend to focus on the negative. And that's why I'm just like, just another negative thing.
Yeah. Like when I get an email or like a notification on this new app that we use, I'm like nervous now to open it, because I'm like, are they going to talk about his behavior again? Like I get
Well, the other thing I think that I didn't realize too, like, where I remember sometimes I was like, okay, like, what is the problem? Like, like, not to sound like I was a horrible person before I had children, but
we just didn't know.
I didn't know. And I didn't know like the love that you could have for your child. Right. And so I'd sit in these conversations with, sometimes difficult conversations regarding like child progress or whatever it may be, right? Behaviorally or emotionally or whatever. And all the moms always crying. And I'm like, we're just talking about math facts. Like, what are we crying about? And now juggling the amount of things that I do with my two boys and them being so polar opposites. Like, you could tell me like it's cold outside maybe one day, and if it's a really rough day, I'll probably gonna cry about that.
I have brought tissues to a conference before.
Yeah, there's so many demands on you as a mom,
so true.
Or as a parent, and so I just think I get it now. 100%. Like why you get emotional, because every mom, like, you love your children so much and you want the best for them. And number two, like maybe it's just a rough week.
Right. We all have pressure too, to be perfect and to fit, to act appropriate and,
to get good grades. Yeah.
And like, they have to be here. You have to be in the sport. There's just so much pressure, I think, put on parents now, especially moms.
Or even just starting kindergarten. Like, instead of just saying, this is where they're going to start learning, it's like, can your child read yet when they start kindergarten? Do they know all their letters? And you're just like, so much pressure.
A lot of competition amongst moms that, shouldn't happen, but it does.
Right.
And it can really, like, make us feel bad about us as parents, I think.
The other piece of it that I didn't really recognize or realize, because I had my first son, who is my older son and my younger son are, you guys know, polar opposites of each other in every way. My older son is so my husband and my younger son is so me. And so it wasn't until my younger son started kindergarten, now in first grade, where like, how do you, like, I feel differently now with my younger one I did my older one, because the things that my older one was what the teachers were coming to me about, I handled it and thought it was not a problem, because like, oh, he's not raising his hand enough in class, or he's a little bit more introverted and I like to see him this or that more, and just people get to know him better. And I was like, oh yeah, of course. But now when I'm getting called out as a mom for my younger son's like behavior or whatever it is that he's doing, and I was like, oh man, that's so from me. That's so my fault.
Sorry, Mom.
That's so my fault.
Sorry,
It's
Mom.
a different feeling. You know, you're looking at it through a different lens, and you're just like, it's funny in my head when I'm reprimanding my child for what their teacher is saying, like this or that. When in reality, like I so did that when I was a kid, or I did it as an adult, you know?
I'm sorry.
Wild.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, my middle one is the funny man now. He likes to be class clown in 7th grade. It's going over real well.
The class clown.
Like it's going over real well with his peers, which is the more important to him.
See, that's where Ronan is right now. He's saying
Mhm.
stuff to make his friends laugh. And I'm like, that's cool. Do it at recess. But your teacher is trying really hard to teach 30 kids. So for her sake, save it for recess.
That's where most of my comments about my middle son come in.
Mm-hmm.
He said this during class and he was like, well, I didn't think she could hear me.
Excellent.
Just be a little quieter next time. Next time, quieter.
Yeah, whenever I do something wrong, I was
totally.
Okay, I also learned now as a parent that when my kid comes home and tells me a story, like I believe a fraction of it. Like I'm not going to believe the whole thing until I talk to someone. So Ronan came home last year. On the way home, we were driving. He's like, Mom, there was like a fight at school. Some 4th graders were bullying us. And one of them punched my friend Ralphie. And then he was on the ground and had to go home. And I got this big scratch on my back. And in my head, I was like, this happened at your school. I cannot believe it. And then I stopped for a second and I was like, okay, pause. Like I remember kids telling their parents about something that happened in class. They come to me and I was like, that didn't happen. So then what it turned out was after emailing the principal, just say like, can I clarify? I heard an incident happen. Kids were sent to the office. She said none of that happened. And so when I asked Ronan again, he was like, oh, well, remember that movie, The Karate Kid that we were watching when we were at Gigi's? Yeah, that happened in the movie. And I was pretending like it happened at school. And I was like, I just emailed your principal. And like, I at least was like coming at it from, hey, I heard a story and I just want to see if that's what actually happened. So she called me and she was like, hey, I just asked Ronan about it. And he said he was just playing with some friends and he fell on the ground. They were playing like basketball rough and he fell. And I was like, thank you so much for the call. Oh my God, I'm never going to leave with my child again. Like, so we had this long talk about the boy who cried wolf. Like, oh my gosh.
I will say, I think that is the one gift that I was given as a teacher before having children, because like we talked about, you love your child so much, right? Like when they say, oh, this child did this to me, or this happened or that happened, you immediately like, you're like, oh my gosh, they're bullying you. Like, can you believe he did this or that? Like that is no way. You know what I mean? But you get like mama bear, right? We all do get mama bear.
My heart like ached for him. I was like, oh my God,
but
4th graders doing this to my 2nd grader. Oh, the principal did say 4th graders weren't even at recess at that time.
I'm grateful that I do have that teacher lens where I realize it's very, like you're just saying, Katie, like, I'm just clarifying, like, instead of mama bear, I know that I need to
take a breath.
I mean, it's hard to say out loud, but like not really actually believe everything my kid says.
Right.
I clarify instead of being like, have a hard time believing you know? Mm-hmm. And then it totally didn't.
I can't remember like my kids making up a story. That's been so long ago where they've got out of that make-believe kind of mentality.
Well, I hope mine is over it.
I would say it's more of a perception of their reality.
Yes.
And I have had, especially my middle one, who's always getting in trouble, and me asking, okay, but what did you do?
Correct.
Yes. Like that was my number one thing. Okay, what did you do first? Or and it's always he usually started it. So that was I don't want to like blame him, be like, what did you do first? But it's more like, okay, but what did you do in this situation? And it's just like they say perception's reality. Well, that is his reality. And so I know there's a separate reality of what happened. So he'll tell me his version. And if it's really bad for me to address the teacher, I would say like, hey, I'm not understanding, like he has his version, but I know that's the whole truth.
Such a good
Can I just address this so I can address it with him in the proper way? Like what really happened. And so
next time I have to email the principal, I'm gonna have you check my email first.
I have a lot of experience with this, you guys, a lot of experience. But I see it from other friends who have also asked me some advice, like this is what happened. I'm like, did it really?
Mhm.
Why don't
Mhm.
like, and they want to like go confront the teacher, go right to the principal. I'm like, please don't do that as a professional. Don't go over this teacher's head or automatically blame this teacher. There is another story that you're not being told. So let's
Right.
start with that first.
Because
And
I did get like kind of defensive when parents would like come at me. Like one of them said, like, oh, my son said you yelled at him. I'm like, I never yelled at a child. I had my teacher voice.
Yeah.
And I had my teacher look, but I never like yelled. So you're right, their perception of it, but also like everyone needs like a breath before.
yep, a lot of times the kid's upset about something or they're mad at the teacher and they're going to make up a story or embellish it in a way that makes the situation worse and favorable to them. And I've noticed this over and over again with different children and people and like things that I have witnessed that I'm like, that's just not what's happening. And as a professional, I'm like, I wouldn't come into your job and accuse you of doing something wrong. You would hate if I did that and I wasn't there just because I learned about it from a different person. Don't do this to this teacher. So sometimes they listened to me, sometimes they didn't, but I noticed that a lot with other friends.
Oh, that's such a good one. Especially as my kids get older, I just see more instances coming.
It's
especially my third, like he's gonna be the wild card of the bunch. I mean, his name's Maverick, so we better buckle up. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, what do you guys feel about your child taking personal days? Like when I was teaching, kids would say like, oh, we're gonna do a Disney day. And I was like, oh,
I just did
you're
this 2
gonna
weeks
miss
ago.
my social studies lesson for Disneyland. Now I'm like, every year we go to the pumpkin patch.
Yep.
Take that day off. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
100% take that day off.
100%.
And don't feel guilty and just tell the school we're taking a personal day.
This is like what I learned through COVID. It didn't matter. Apparently they didn't care if they missed a day or they didn't check in or like, now they're trying to come back to us. We've gotten notices of like this amount of people have gotten, not from us, but like we're there and I work. So my kids are there.
We got an email from school last week saying like there's been a large number of absences. Please make sure school is important. And I was like, but like the last 2 years, you've told us if our kid has a cough, they can't come for 2 weeks.
Right.
So now we're like back.
We'll teach your kid for a week at home.
Right.
So that kind of like discredited a lot of the school, like in what they were saying before and now what they're saying. So I'm like, no. And plus I learned there's just so much more to life than just being in the classroom with your peers. Yes, it's important, but today, like my kids are all on different schedules. I have a school schedule. My kids one goes to private, one goes to public. So I have 3 different schedules I'm trying to like balance and juggle. So if mine lines up with one of my kids, the other one gets, pulled out of school for whatever. We did that last year for spring break. They missed 5 days. And you know what? They remember the trip. They don't remember what
I was going to say. They will remember that for life and not that long division lesson that they.
Yeah. We went to
I think also like, I try to always remember like they're kids, like of course education is so important, but I mean, Kate, we literally 10 seconds ago had infants and my son's turning 9 in 5
I'm
days.
crying. Oh my God, this month. Oh my God.
Like 5 days from now, he's going to be 9. And I will always remember what Jennifer, you said to me recently, like when your child turned 9, I remember Jennifer texted us and said, I'm halfway done. And it like gets me emotional. I'm like, I'm a week away from being quote unquote. I mean, I know being a mom is never going to end, but like, I'm halfway done. Like my husband and I are halfway done with my part. And so if I want to take a day and go to Disneyland and just love on my kids, I'm just going to do that,
Even when
we're calling in sick tomorrow. I'm doing it.
Well, like my son's going into high school next year and our summer's already booked. It's like, cause he's going to play football. You have 2 weeks during the summer. You can take that vacation and then you are theirs for the next 4 years.
Well, someone said you have 18 summers with your kids. And then this other mom corrected me. She's like, no, when they're in high school, you don't take trips. They have a job. They are in sports. They're doing this. And I was like, we're taking what? So I better get now while they like me. Well, they want to go on trips with me.
That's a big thing because I have a son that's going to turn 13 in 2 months and I have another one that's 14 and they want nothing to do with me. Like the air I breathe is embarrassing. My 9-year-old still loves me and like will love on me, but the other 2 are like, okay, mom, I'd rather just be with my friends. like the sassy junior high attitude. And it's hard for them to take off school now. It's hard. It's going to be almost impossible to take off in high school. So I say, do it now. And enjoy that because it's not as important as the older they get, it's harder.
Yeah. I know, it's funny, like these little things, right? As a mom, like my older son, it was like a year ago around this time where like he stopped holding my hand. And so now I'm like, oh, my younger one's approaching that time frame where he's gonna, at some point this year or next year, he's gonna stop holding my hand. And then
my 9-year-old still holds my hand. He's gonna be 10 in 2 months. So,
you know, like, so I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how, like these little things that you try to hang on to, you know, but I feel like when they do that though, it's like you're doing right. Like you're preparing them for life away from you. And so, you know, you just got to suck in that time. And if you want to miss a day here and there, miss a day, you know? And I never would have said this 10 years ago. Without children.
I never had parents that would like tell me, hey, we're going, or the kid would tell me we're going to Disneyland. And I would literally get like annoyed, like, well, let me give you all the work that you're
and you'd give them all the work and send it with them.
Now I wish I would say, have a wonderful time. You don't need to make anything.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Yep. Whereas like if families were going on week-long trips, I would get like a whole packet together and like put it in their folder for them.
Like they're going to do a packet of work while they're laying in Hawaii. No way. No way. I would burn that packet with the reading log.
No.
Oh man. Okay. Let's switch and talk a little bit about teacher gifts. Cause a lot of people ask me like, okay, you were a former classroom teacher. What gifts did you like? Do you have any ideas?
Okay, so this would be number one right here.
Oh, she's showing us her Is that a Stanley?
Oh, wait,
is it? Stop it. You both have one?
This is the high school colors of my kid.
Is it worth the hype? I've seen so many people have it. Is it?
I just love it so much because you can do hot or cold.
Oh, she has her name on it. Stop it.
Oh, you're so mine doesn't have my name
on everything. I have labels at the wazoo.
I have every mom shirt around. Boy, mom life, like everything. Wait, so it's really that amazing? I need to put it on.
I think because okay, like you're always on the go, right? Yeah. Like as a teacher, I mean, and as a mom, and it fits in like any cup holder.
Yep.
And then you can also do cold or hot. Like in the morning, of course, I'm like coffee queen, you know, as I was as a teacher. And in the afternoon, you're talking so much, you're on your feet, like you constantly need water, and then it keeps it on ice the rest of the day.
Okay, so a Stanley cup is.
Yes. Oh, this one's a Yeti.
Yeti. Mine's a Yeti.
They look the same. Oh my gosh, they look.
I think they are pretty much essentially the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do.
Yeah. Well, God, I need to step up my like water bottle.
Yeah. People call it the emotional support. Emotional support water bottle.
That's like my coffee cup. It's like always with me. Oh.
Yeah.
So seriously. My favorite gift was Starbucks gift cards.
Like, hands down.
Give me a gift card. Like all those candles and lotions are nice, but give me a gift card.
Yeah. I mean, as a teacher, sometimes it's like, it used to just get me through the day. You know what I mean? Like report card weeks or when parent-teacher conferences would come up and you're prepping
always
for all
bring
of that.
A gift card to conference. I'm like, thank you so much. Or like back to school night, open house. Like I always make sure to say, thank you for staying late. I know you want to be with your kids.
Yes.
Right now. Like my heart breaks when I see like my son's kindergarten teacher went back to school after having her baby, I think last year. And like, my heart aches for her just seeing like you're at back to school night right now and your baby's at home. So, and don't ever schedule a conference for Friday afternoon, right? Like, no, it's weekend. Let her go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say I'm a room mom for my youngest son.
Oh, props to you.
Oh, I know.
Go girl.
I try to avoid that. I'm like,
next year, there's no more volunteering. There's no more room mom. There's nothing. So next year is my last year and I'll have a junior high and 2 high schoolers by that point in time. And so I keep saying to my husband, who's like,
so we're going out for drinks, right?
That's exactly. But we would do stuff like during Christmas, we'd get a wreath and then we would clip their like her favorite gift cards to it.
Love it.
One time we've done a money tree before and we'd just roll up all the money and tie it. I think those were always the hits because we would take her favorite, I say her because they've only been female teachers, her favorite list of items and send it out to all the parents and they would specifically buy gift cards that she liked.
Okay. I love it.
And I know it sounds kind of selfish as a teacher if I ask for that. And the teachers always felt kind of weird by it. But otherwise, if I get things I don't like, I literally have a thing of gift cards sitting there.
Right.
So I'd always want to make
like restaurants that are awesome, but just not in my area, or I don't ever go there. Yeah.
Yes.
That's why like the Starbucks gift card, I remember summertime being like, I'm not going to pay for coffee the whole summer. I loved
So great.
Love that.
So great. Yeah, totally.
Okay. Well, I hate to cut this off because this has been so much fun, but I actually have to pick up my kid from school soon. Ronan's getting out soon. So thank you so much for coming on. This was so fun. This makes me like miss the days when we taught together because I would see you guys every day. I don't miss teaching, but I miss seeing you guys. So please promise to come back on because you're too
Absolutely.
fun.
Of course.
I love it. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For all the listeners and viewers, if you got anything from this podcast, please like and subscribe so that you don't miss next week's Momversation. And remember, everyone burns their first pancake, so just keep flipping.